All right, so today we're going deep into some pretty out there stuff, Abraham Hicks and all that law of attraction stuff. But we're going way past just think it and it'll appear. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We've got this excerpt here that gets into the real nitty gritty, like how our beliefs and
Yeah.
feelings, even the stuff we deep down want most,
Yeah.
how that all ties into this whole manifestation thing.
Yeah. It is fascinating how this concept that's gotten so popular
Right.
actually goes into some pretty profound, philosophical ideas.
It really does.
Yeah.
It makes you think about all the ways we limit ourselves.
Totally.
What if we're holding ourselves back without even realizing it? Because the beliefs we didn't even know we had. The excerpt says, a belief is just a thought you keep thinking.
Right.
I mean, that changes everything, doesn't it?
It really does. It reframes the whole concept of beliefs.
Totally.
Instead of these fixed things, they become more like habits.
Yeah.
Habits of thought that we can actually change.
Exactly. Suddenly, those beliefs don't seem so scary anymore.
Right.
So how does this play out in our everyday lives? This excerpt gets really specific. It talks about money, our bodies, even relationships.
Right.
It's like taking stock of all the areas where we might be unknowingly holding ourselves back.
It encourages us to look at those areas and ask, what's my main feeling
Right.
when I think about this stuff? Like money, for instance.
Okay.
When you think about money, do you feel stressed? Do you feel a sense of lack? Or do you feel abundance and possibility? How about your body?
Oh.
Do you feel confident and strong? Or are there these feelings of insecurity lurking underneath?
I've messed around with visualization and stuff before.
Yeah.
But this feels different. It's not just about picturing what we want,
Right.
but really turning into those subtle feelings and realizing how they might be affecting what we experience.
It's a great observation because it's not just the images we make in our heads, but the underlying energy, the feeling that we're putting out there.
Okay.
And the excerpt says these feelings, these vibes actually attract more of whatever we're focused on.
So this is where it gets really interesting. The source energy idea.
Okay.
I know it sounds kind of woo-woo.
Yeah.
But if you're into universal intelligence,
Right.
quantum field, that kind of thing, it might make more sense. It's like this energy field out there that's always responding to our vibes.
You've explained it perfectly. We're always sending out these signals.
Right.
And the universe, the source energy, is always listening and responding.
Yeah.
And according to Abraham Hicks, the clearer and more positive those signals are, the easier it is for what we want to show up.
So it's not about pretending everything's perfect, right?
No.
It's more about becoming aware of those subtle feelings and making an effort to shift to a feeling of joy, abundance, whatever we want. And the excerpt talks about this virtual reality thing as a way to practice this.
Right.
It's not about escaping reality, but creating a detailed scene in our minds. Like a movie where we choose everything. The location, the people, the feelings, everything.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. Isn't that just daydreaming with a fancy name?
Well, it might seem similar,
Right.
but with virtual reality, the intention is very specific. It's not about escaping. It's about intentionally experiencing how it would feel if what we desire was already real.
So we're not just picturing a beach vacation.
Right.
We're feeling the sand, the warmth of the sun, the joy of being there.
Exactly.
I get how that could shift our vibes, but why is feeling good so important?
Well, according to Abraham Hicks, feeling good is what lets that source energy flow. It removes those blocks so what we want can manifest more easily. Like we're clearing a path for that energy to work its magic.
So if I'm constantly stressing about money, am I actually blocking abundance from coming into my life?
It does challenge how we usually think about things.
That's wild.
Yeah, and the excerpt takes it even further. They compare the whole process to a dance. They call it the dance of creation.
Ooh, I love a good analogy.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this dance.
Okay, so there are 3 steps. First, we ask.
Okay.
We focus on what we want. We bring it to our awareness. Then source answers.
Right.
The universe starts setting things in motion behind the scenes.
So it's not just wishful thinking. It's about setting that intention and trusting that the universe is listening.
Exactly.
What's the third step?
The third step is where it all comes together. It's about allowing, that means keeping our vibes high, feeling joy and receptivity, so we can actually receive what we've asked for.
Like letting go of the reins, trusting that the universe knows what it's doing,
Right.
and just enjoying the ride.
That's a great way to put it. And this virtual reality technique we were talking about, that's like practicing the dance steps, getting comfortable with that feeling of allowing
So it's not just wishing for things.
No.
It's about embodying the feeling of already having them. We're
Exactly.
living it right now.
You got it. That's where the real power of manifestation lies. It's not about forcing, but about aligning with how creation actually works.
This is starting to feel really spiritual,
Yeah.
which I have to admit I wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also super empowering. Like, what if we have more control over our reality than we think?
That's what's so cool about exploring these ideas.
Yeah.
It challenges our assumptions and opens us up to a whole world of possibilities.
I'm totally hooked.
Mm-hmm.
This is way more than just making a vision board.
Right.
It's like a whole new way of being.
Surely.
A new way of thinking about what we want and the power we have to make it happen. Ready to go even deeper.
Absolutely. Let's keep exploring.
As we're exploring all this stuff, it's easy to get all excited about, creating our dream reality. But the excerpt doesn't shy away from the tough stuff either. It acknowledges that actually living by these principles isn't always a cakewalk.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not always simple to change those ingrained beliefs and patterns,
Right.
even when we get the concepts intellectually.
It's like we're fighting against our own subconscious, Like the example they use is someone who wants abundance, like really badly, but they grew up with this scarcity mindset.
Right.
So even when they're trying to manifest wealth, those beliefs might be sabotaging them.
It's like trying to swim upstream against a strong current.
Yeah.
Their conscious minds focused on abundance, but those old beliefs, those tapes playing in the background, are creating resistance.
It makes you wonder how many of our limitations are like self-imposed.
Oh, no.
Like what if we're the ones holding ourselves back,
Absolutely.
clinging to beliefs that aren't doing us any good?
It's a powerful question. And the excerpt suggests this is why so many people feel stuck. They blame outside circumstances or even past lives for not reaching their goals.
Right.
But what if the real obstacle is inside us,
Okay.
in those subconscious beliefs we haven't even looked at?
So how do we break free from those old patterns?
Wow.
The excerpt points to that virtual reality thing as a starting point.
Right.
It's not just daydreaming. It's about creating this new reality in our minds, a place where those limiting beliefs don't exist.
Exactly. It's like a mental playground where we can try out feeling the emotions of our desires without those old beliefs holding us back.
Okay.
We're basically rewiring our brains by experiencing those positive feelings over and over.
And the excerpt really emphasizes that the goal isn't to fix anything in our virtual reality.
Right.
We're not trying to solve problems or make things happen a certain way. It's just about feeling the joy and fulfillment as if those desires were already real.
That's such a crucial point, because bringing any feeling of lack or need into that virtual space can actually weaken it. It's like pouring muddy water into a crystal clear pool.
Okay.
The key is to create a pure experience of joy, even if it's just in our minds.
I'm starting to see how this is less about changing the outside world and more about shifting what's going on inside us,
Absolutely.
aligning our energy with what we want. It's like that Gandhi quote, be the change you wish to see in the world.
Perfect connection.
It's not about waiting for things to change, but embodying that change right now.
Exactly. It's not about forcing the world to fit our desires,
Okay.
but aligning ourselves with how creation works. It's about surrendering to something bigger, trusting that the universe will bring us what we want when we get out of our own way.
This is getting really spiritual. Like maybe it's not all about willpower and effort. Maybe there's a bigger force at play, something guiding us.
It's fascinating how these concepts, even though they're often labeled as New Age,
Right.
actually mirror ancient spiritual teachings about surrender and faith.
It's making me rethink how I approach my goals.
Yeah.
What if instead of pushing so hard,
Yeah.
I focus more on cultivating those feelings of joy and alignment? It almost seems too easy,
Well, the excerpt does say that shifting our perspective can be tough,
right?
especially since we're so conditioned to believe we have to work and struggle for anything worthwhile.
So where do we go from here? How
Yeah.
do we actually live this out in our everyday lives?
Well, the excerpt offers some guidance. It talks about holding ourselves in the place of allowing.
Holding ourselves in the place of allowing. What does that even mean?
It's about choosing thoughts and activities that uplift us, that
Okay.
nourish our souls and keep us connected to those feelings of joy and abundance.
It sounds like a way of being,
Exactly.
a way of moving through the world where we're not resisting or forcing, but just going with the flow.
That's a great way to put it. And the excerpt mentions the Book of Positive Aspects
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
as a technique to help with this.
It's about writing down all the things we appreciate about something, right?
Exactly.
Like training our minds to see the good even when things are tough.
It's a powerful way to shift our focus from what's missing to what's already there, to cultivate gratitude.
But the excerpt also says this isn't always easy. Sometimes even trying to force positive thoughts can backfire
Right.
and trigger those negative beliefs we're trying to get rid of.
That's why it's so important to find techniques that feel right for us, that feel authentic. Instead of forcing ourselves to be positive, it's a delicate balance between focusing on the positive and acknowledging where we're at right now.
It's like finding that sweet spot where we're not ignoring the challenges,
Right.
but we're also not letting them control how we feel. We're choosing to focus on what feels good.
Exactly.
And trusting that by doing so, we're aligning with that creative flow.
And the excerpt suggests the more we do this, the easier it gets. It's like working out a muscle.
Okay.
Strengthening our ability to connect with source energy and manifest what we want.
It's like we're learning new skills.
Right.
A new way of interacting with the world. And the exciting thing is we're not alone in this.
Absolutely.
There's this universal force supporting us, guiding us towards what's best for us.
It's a beautiful reminder that we're not just individuals struggling on our own.
Yeah.
We're part of something much bigger, something that's always working for our good.
This is all starting to make sense for me. It's like a whole new world is opening up, a world where anything's possible if we can get out of our own way and trust the process.
That's the beauty of exploring these ideas. It expands our awareness, challenges our assumptions, and ultimately empowers us to create a life that's truly aligned with who we are.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation. I feel so inspired and energized.
That's great.
I'm ready to try these techniques out and see where they lead me.
That's fantastic. And remember, this journey of manifestation is ongoing.
Right.
It's all about growth, expansion, and alignment.
I'm ready for the adventure.
Wow.
But before we get carried away, we still have more to unpack in the excerpt.
Okay.
Let's keep diving into these fascinating concepts. You know, it's funny. We get so hung up on, like, the how-to of manifesting.
Right.
Looking for that perfect technique, the magic formula, vision boards, affirmations, all that stuff. But this excerpt is saying the real key is inside us.
I think so.
It's about aligning with the feeling of what we want.
It's like those techniques are just tools to help us get to that feeling, to shift our vibes, to match the frequency of what we desire. The real magic isn't in the method itself, but in how it makes us feel.
It's like we're tuning our inner radio dial.
I like that.
Trying to find that station that's playing pure joy, abundance, you know, all the good stuff.
Exactly. And the excerpt says there's no one right way to do it. It's about finding what works for you.
Okay.
What helps you connect with that feeling of alignment and excitement.
So it's not about pretending everything's perfect.
No, not at all.
It's about choosing to focus on the positive.
Right.
To cultivate a state of being that's in line with what we want to create.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose our thoughts and emotions. We can't always control what happens outside.
Right.
But we can control how we react to it.
Like we can't always calm the storm.
Exactly.
But we can calm ourselves in the middle of it.
And when we do that, we find this inner peace that helps us handle those challenges better.
And this excerpt highlights that aligning with our desires is a dance.
Yes.
This constant back and forth between what we want and the infinite wisdom of source energy.
It's about learning to trust the flow of life.
Yeah.
Surrendering to something bigger than ourselves.
Okay.
Knowing that we're being supported every step of the way.
And as we surrender to that flow, we start to realize we're not alone.
Right.
We're connected to this universal energy, this source of abundance and wisdom that's always guiding us toward what's best for us.
It is a beautiful thing.
This whole deep dive has been amazing. It's really changed my perspective.
I'm glad to hear that.
And given me so much hope and a sense of possibility.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new world is opening up.
That's what it's all about.
A world where anything is possible if we just get out of our own way and align with that creative flow.
Absolutely.
And for everyone listening, I encourage you to explore these concepts more.
Yes.
What if instead of trying to force things to happen, you just spent more time feeling good about what you want?
That's a great question.
How would that change the way you approach manifesting?
It's something to really think about. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from our deep dive today. The reminder that our true power isn't about forcing or controlling.
Right.
It's about aligning with the flow, trusting the universe, and allowing the magic to happen.